Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonny Lipsham.
Hello everybody, welcome to Sunday Night Live, first one of March. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's okay. Apologies for the little delay. I had a couple of problems I needed to fix. Well, it was one and then second problem. But we're all good now. So, first problem was a lighting problem. One of my lights died on me, so I had to go and find a replacement. But we're all good now. We're all good. That was the first problem. Second problem was my belly, but we're okay on that now. At least for now. Hopefully I will hold out for the entire length of the show. I'm not going to go into too much more details because I don't want to make you guys sick. So, so there we go. Hope everybody's all right. Hope everybody has had a good week. Been a good week for me. Been a busy week. Actually been a really busy week. So much going on at the moment. None of which I can talk about at all. So, unfortunately, I can't divulge. But yeah, lots going on. And it's all good. It's all exciting. And some of it you're going to find out. Some of it I will reveal. I'll tell you that much. And I'll keep it at that, really. Oh, great, Mika. Thank you for that. You can tell us all about that. We'd appreciate that. All right, so let's get into the show. Sorry, I'm a little kind of flustered and a little distracted, but we're good. We're good. We're fine. So, Gerard Stroh was first in at like nearly 10 p.m. UK time. That's like 2 hours before showtime. That is serious keenness, I have to say, Gerard. And Thomas over in the Philippines says good morning. Good morning to you too, my friend. It is 4:15 midnight here. And then Just Bob, my faithful moderator, says hello. He's here, which is awesome because, you know, his kind of work pattern has all changed. So kind of have to be a little bit more flexible, but that's great that you're here. Thank you, Bob. I'm really glad you're here. Martin Weeks is here. Sean Aaron is here. And Alps Media is here as well. The, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm doing this a lot more frequently. The sponsor. That's the word. The sponsor of Home Studio Trainer. So that's great. Glad you're here. Martin is saying to me, don't forget to unmute the mic. Yeah, I didn't actually mute it tonight. I actually forgot to mute it. So you probably heard me kind of like snuffling and snorting and everything else before I actually turned on the camera. Tim Dogs Audio is here. Good to see you, Tim. And who else do we have here? We have John Edgar, who says he's happy to be here. Well, John, I am very happy that you are here. That's awesome. John Lake is here as well. He says, if it's Sunday, this must be Scotland. Hi all, just watching Outlander. So I'm ready. Awesome. Outlander is great. I love it. One of my favorite shows. Let's see. Who else do we have? Kyle Drejuziak is here. I can still not say your name, even though I have known you for about 5 years. I still cannot say your name properly. So I apologize. Bob Studios is here. Dwayne. He says, made it. JL running a little late. Yes. I'll talk to you. I'll spare you the details of at least the second problem I had. The first problem I had was to do with my lights. The second problem is to do with my stomach. But you don't need to know anything about that. Let's see. Garen Livingston is here. Rock stars never start on time. Yeah, well, I'm not a rock star, so I have no excuse at all. Let's go down a little bit further and see who we have. Ken Moss is here. That's great. I think that's all of my moderators are here now, because I think Mike is here as well somewhere. Martin says, I guess that small problem JL is having is still a problem. Yep. Not anymore, though. And yeah, I don't see Mike, so maybe Mike will pop in a little bit later. Had lights, no camera action. Yeah, well, you know, I actually had no lights. That was the problem. To start with, I had no lights. Or at least I had one light out of my 3. I had one. So I'm going to have to look at my lighting situation and see if I can do something to remedy that. But I have them all working now, at least for now. Who knows how long they'll last. I hate it when my lights flake out like that. Let's see. Old School Funker Soul is here. He says, I'm here. What do you have up your sleeve to reveal? I have nothing up my sleeve to reveal. Apart from my arm. That's it. Maybe I'll let you see my elbow. There you go. There's my elbow. That's all I'm comfortable revealing that is up my sleeve. But yeah, anything else that is up my sleeve, as I say, I'm not allowed to reveal. Utter Crazy Bill Shepherd is here. Yay. Glad Bill is here. Okay, so we got a good crowding. We got 27 or 28 people here, which is awesome. Now, let's see. Mika, I want to know what your aha and duh moment was to do with the sidechain. Because I know we were talking about that on Wednesday, and I couldn't think of a way to do it because, you know what? I really just don't do it. I'll be honest, I really just don't do it very much. So, I don't know. How many Lipshams does it take to change a light bulb? I will tell you the answer to that. 2. Me and my wife. My wife is an expert when it comes to bulb changing because the particular bulbs in my particular lights are they're LEDs, and they are in a strip of 6 LEDs, and when one goes, they all go because they are connected in series rather than in parallel. So if one goes, they all go, and so we have to take that out and we have to put a new strip of LEDs in, and so see, here's the thing with me. I'm a good piano player. I'm a good bass player. I'm a good drummer. But when it comes to fine motor skill, dexterity things, I suck. I suck. And there is a medical reason why I suck. But, you know, things like tying my shoelaces, forget it. It will take me 5 times as long to tie my shoelaces as anybody else. I know because I have tested that theory. So yeah, there is a medical reason why I struggle with things like changing light bulbs or replacing the fuse in a plug or, you know, anything that requires fine motor skills. I just can't do them. And tying shoelaces is one of those. So I try to avoid shoelaces wherever I can. But yeah, my wife was the one that helped me there. Change the light bulb. That's funny, Pops. Let's see. And this rabbit. Yes, I always have a rabbit up my sleeve. I just have to make sure that the animal rescue people don't know about it, because they could shut me down in a flash. Let's see. What else do we have? Let's see. We got a donation from Alps Media, which is freaking awesome, who has donated me $10. You rock. You. I think you're there, aren't you? Or are you there? I'm not sure. Are you there or there or there? I think you're there. So yes, you're there. And you are awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That is fantastic. Tim says, whoa, Alps Media with the super chat. If anyone gets guidance from Jonny Lipsham, consider sending a super chat. Tim, you said it. You said what was in my heart. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. So, let's kind of get the basics out of the way here. If you want to ask a question, and you want to make sure that I see it, there are 2 ways. There are 2 ways to do that. Number 1 is the first way is the way that Alps Media did it. Do it in a super chat. I'm exceptionally unlikely to miss those. And if I do, one of my moderators will smack me over the head in some way, shape, or form and make sure that I I see it and I read that question. The second way is a little bit cheaper in that it doesn't cost you anything. But the second way is when you type your comment, if you type the @ symbol, and then start typing Jonny Lipsham Studios and it will autofill, then type your question after that. That way it will appear, my name will appear in a nice red box and I can see it very easily and I can pick out questions really easy. And that way I can distinguish the just general chit chat in the chat for want of not wanting to say the word chat quite so many times. But yeah, so that way I can distinguish you guys talking amongst yourselves from you guys asking me a question. So that would help greatly if you want to get my attention. I'd appreciate that. So let's see. Motor skill, same here, carpal tunnel. Yeah, I don't have carpal tunnel. It's a completely different issue. And Tim's got my back, which is always good to know. Tim, I've got yours too. And Mike Neighbour's in the house. Yay! Fanfare for Mike. There we go. Let's see. Everybody's here. This is cool. This is cool. We got a great bunch of people here tonight. So what if the question is only worth 25 cents? I will only read every other word. Because that would be entertaining. If I just read every other word of your question, that would be entertaining. So please, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, let's go back up and take a look, because I think there was a question earlier. And I don't want to miss it. Mika says, "Did anyone like this show? If so, hit the like button." Yes! Mika! Excellent. Thank you for that. 100 jails to change, 1 to hold the light bulb, and 99 to turn the house. Yes, I think you're right. All right, so we are at 25 minutes past the hour, and I am prepared this evening to run a little late. So if you guys have got stacks of questions, I will happily take more than the average number of questions. So yeah, please do get your questions in the chat, because that's the focus for tonight, for pretty good reasons. Because I think a lot of you may well already be aware, because of social media and the way that works, that there are big things happening next week in the Personas world. So I am very happy to take questions tonight, primarily, rather than doing kind of very much else. I mean, if you've got something that you want me to show or demonstrate, we can do that. Absolutely. But yeah, primarily this is a question night, so get your questions in the chat. In fact, I think John Edgar has the first one. What is the function of combine with next track in the project page? The combine with next track in the project page is a funky, cool little feature, and what it does is it allows you to join one song with the next. So for example, if you want one song to run into the next one, you can do that. You know, what you'll see is just like one track name in the track list itself, but the two will be combined. So the two songs could be combined. So it can be a handy little thing if you're wanting to do a continuous play of a couple of songs, or if you've got a medley or something like that and you want to kind of have them together as one song. You can still have your track markers and things like that, I think. To be honest, I haven't actually used it. I haven't actually used that feature, so I think you can still keep your track markers and your track headers. It just means that the two audio events get kind of combined together, one after the other, and it's kind of like, you know, when you select different events in the song page and then you press G to merge them together. It kind of does something a little bit like that, except it's in the project page. So it's doing it for the whole song. Bob Studios with a $1 donation. $1 is always good. 1 cent is always good. Anything is always going to help out. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Very, very kind. And I'm still waiting to see if Mika is going to spread his discovery over the course of maybe a few posts, because I know you only get like 200 characters, so it might take a wee bit to sort out. Mika, if you want, you can send me an email. If you'd prefer to do it that way, that would be fine. You can email me, johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and just send that there if you'd rather do it that way, because I imagine it might take quite a bit of description that you're not really going to be able to do here. Let's see. Bob Studio says, so I just rebuilt a Windows 10 machine and running 4.6. Cool. That's awesome. So what does it cost to get Studio One up to date? You can go to shop.personas.com, and when you go there, there will be a box there that is a product that says upgrade. And if you are using Studio One 4.6 Professional, the one you want, sorry, I have an itchy nose. The one you want, the product you want to tick off is the upgrade, the professional to professional upgrade. So, hang on, let me show you. It'd be easier to show than to explain, I think. So let me just type in. I've got a shop. All right, I'm going to show you this because it would just be easier to show than anything else. All right, so over here we are in the shop. And the first thing I did was select a category, which was just basically Studio One. So if I actually go back one. So this is the first page of the shop. This is shop.personas.com. The first thing you want to do is click Studio One. And then these are the top line products: Studio One Professional, Studio One Artist, or membership of Persona Sphere. And then what you want is, if you were running Studio One 4.6 Professional, this is the guy you want here. Studio One 5 Professional upgrade from Professional or Producer, all versions. So that would be Studio One version 1, version 2, version 3, or version 4 Professional or Producer if you had like Studio One 1 Producer or Studio One 2 Producer, because we retired the Producer version for Studio One 3. So yeah, if you are on any of those versions and you want to upgrade to Studio One 5, this would be how you do it. Now, if you are a Studio One 4 Artist user, but you want to upgrade to Studio One 5 Professional, this is the product you choose. Or if you are Studio One 4 Artist and you want to stay on the Artist version but go up to version 5, then this is the guy. Now, obviously, these are all in its British currency here because I am in the UK. It will display whatever your local currency is, okay? And then, of course, there are some educational licenses, and you have to be a qualifying institution to do that. But that's pretty much it. So I hope that helps. So that's how you do it. I hope that helps. Wow, we're getting a flurry of questions in here now, which is awesome. So if you want to upgrade, that's how you upgrade. Let's see. So what do we have next? Sean says, I was listening to a recording I did on Studio One latest version and update, and the CPU started to spike and rapidly jump around. The audio started to crackle. It sounded like a radio. Is there a continuation of that? It kind of looks like there should be a continuation of it. There you go. It was the 4 amp. Okay. So you found the solution, or rather, the cause of the problems. It was the 4 ampere tracks that were freaking out on the CPU. The song had played with no problems for hours until it happened, and then you rebooted the computer, and you've had no problems since. Okay, that sounds rather to me like just a glitch, and probably to do with something happening in the background on your computer. So it could be that something was trying to write to a drive in the background, or something was being dumped to RAM, or something like that is probably what happened. And that meant that your CPU went a little bit nuts. Now, if you start seeing in Studio One that your CPU goes a little bit nuts, I can show you one way in which you can maybe have a look and try and track it down. All right, so let's take a quick look at that. So we're back over in Studio One here. Now, if you want to see, if you see this kind of pumping and bouncing, this top one, not the bottom one, because you've got two little performance things here. If you see the CPU one bouncing about quite a lot, at the moment for me it's hanging around 20%. That's fine. Not worried about that at all. But if this is like bouncing up into the red and this little red light is going off and it's spiking quite regularly, one of the things you can do is you can try clearing the cache, and you can do that by clicking this here, and you've got show cache folder or clean up cache. I would click this one here. Okay. But the other thing you can do is you can show the devices. And if you've got loads and loads of plugins, obviously it's not going to show them all in one. So what you can do, this is very cool, you can actually resize this. Can you pull this down? No. Doesn't look like you can pull that down, which is a little bit annoying. But anyway. Come on, there we go. We can expand that up a bit. And then we can drag the whole thing, move it down a bit. All right, so you can have this so that it sorts by CPU load. Now we can see here that the one that is causing the biggest drain on resources, not that it's really a drain, is this one here. This is Ampere, and it's hanging around about 12. But it's the one that's doing the heavy loading. We've got Melodyne, which I've not rendered yet because I'm a lazy git. For the most part, I recommend once you have done your Melodyne edits, render them. Just render it, and then these will unload, and then these will not cause you any issues. But yeah, as you can see, I've got the SPL de-esser, I've got some room reverb, I've got some Pro EQ, I've got fat channels, I've got a bass amp here. So yeah, so the one that's causing the most is this Ampere here. And if I was just to unload that, and unload that, and unload that, see, now it's dropped down a little bit. Okay, but if I load these back up, it'll pop back up. So what you can do is you can check out which one is causing the most load. So this, let's say this one was like 60 or 70, then I would just turn that off and see if it affects the CPU here. And if it stops peaking, then I know that there's something funky going on with this plugin. For whatever reason, this plugin is still trying to process something. And one thing you can do, especially if it's a third-party plugin, is you can try just removing it, reinstantiate it. If the problem still carries on, then the other thing you can do is you can try uninstalling that plugin completely off of your computer, and then go to the manufacturer's website where your user account for that plugin is, and download the latest update for that plugin, and then reinstantiate it in the song and see if that takes care of it. 9 times out of 10, that takes care of it with CPU spikes. However, it could be that there's some kind of sample rate mismatch between your sample rate here and the sample rate of certain audio files. Like one of these events here maybe was not recorded at 44.1, it was maybe recorded at higher sample rate, and so Studio One is trying to, you know, kind of reduce these down to 44.1 so that they are the same as your song. Those are kind of like the more common reasons why you might encounter high CPU issues. We see those a lot in support, and for the most part, when people send support tickets, those are the answers I generally put back, and I'll say, hey, these are the most likely causes, go and check these out. And usually they come back and say, yep, one of those fixed it, job done. And they can get back to making music, which is the most important thing. But sometimes just a simple either clearing of the cache of the song or closing Studio One and reopening it will fix it. It could just be that one of the plugins, for whatever reason, was just refusing to, maybe it froze, or maybe it was not processing something properly, and just simply closing the song and reopening it, refreshed it, and it would no longer create a load on the CPU. or rebooting your computer can certainly also address that issue. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Sheila is here. Hello, mate. Good to see you. She says, what is your favorite vocal chain, and do you use the same or a different vocal chain for each new project? That is a great question. And I'm going to go back to this song because this song here is one of mine. So let's see. Let me open up my song in the mixer view, and we'll see what I've actually got on here. So on my lead vocal bus, I have the SPL de-esser. And there is a preset called Male Vocal Smooth, which I kind of like, and that's my starting point, and then I just kind of dial it in. I don't tend to need a de-esser very much because I actually have a little bit of a natural lisp anyway, which softens off all of my S's. But sometimes the odd one will pop through. And when that happens, having that de-esser there is handy because it's going to catch those, and I don't have to go through and the whole audio event and try and find the little suckers. But for the most part, this is what I do. I don't need it really that much, but this is usually the first thing that's on there. Bit of Pro EQ, bit of Fat Channel with, in this case, the Fat Comp. Although I've used different ones. This particular song, this sounded great. But yeah, sometimes I'll use a completely different compressor or a completely different EQ. Sometimes I use the entire Fat Channel. It depends on the song. On this one, I wanted to be a little bit surgical with the EQ because I needed to actually eliminate a little bit of the room sound in this room in particular. So, you know, that's why you see that big notch there, around about 418. And then there's another one around about 5K. And these are by and large, you're just trying to eliminate some of the sound of the room more than anything else, because I have a good quality mic. It's the Rode NT1A. Sounds pretty good. Works well for my voice, which is the important thing. Different mics do different things for different voices. So yeah, a little bit of Pro EQ. And then, as I say, I have Fat Channel, Fat Compressor. But here's the kicker. I also have another Fat Channel, but this time I'm using the Tube Comp. So I've got the FET going into the Tube Comp. I like two compressors on a lead vocal. And the reason being is that I can split the load between the two compressors. Sometimes I'll use two compressors with the exact same settings, or I will use two different types of compressors with similar settings. Just kind of depends upon the song and depends what I like for that particular vocal track. But for my vocals, this is kind of what I like to do. I kind of like to do an 1176 FET style compressor going into an LA2A tube style compressor. And those work pretty great. They sound pretty good for me. I like it. You may not, but I do. Really, that's the important thing, is the fact that I like the sound that comes out of it. And if I like it, then that means that it sounds good. So yeah, two compressors are better than one because you can split the load, especially if you are doing quite a lot of compression. Like if you're doing 10 or 12 dB of compression, split the load between two compressors so you have both of them doing 5 or 6 dB each, and you'll get a better sound, I think. And then I have analog delay, and then a room reverb, and then I've got a sidechain compressor. And the sidechain is compressing my delay, which you're probably going to think is a little bit weird. But the reason why it's doing it is the compressor is turning down the delay when I'm singing, and then allowing it to come back up so that you hear the nice delay repeats. Because I like the particular rhythm of the delay. The timing of the delay is really good, but I want to have nice clarity when I'm actually singing. So it's almost dry when I'm actually singing, and the only thing you've got is just the tiniest little hint of reverb when I'm actually singing, and then the delay comes through at the end of each phrase. And I like that. So that's my lead vocal chain. I hope you appreciate that. Let's see. Martin Weeks says, are we talking about like side 2 of Beatles Abbey Road Amble or Pink Floyd type of song? I'm not sure what you are referring to, Martin. Perhaps the subject matter has moved on since you wrote that. I don't know. Assuming Pro is 150 direct or 15 per month for Sphere route. Go check out the pricing, work it out, see what is going to fit your budget better. Now, a lot of people have this misconception about PresonaSphere, which I'm going to clear up for you. A lot of people think, hey, this is just, a monthly way to get Studio One. It is. You are correct. But it is so much bigger than that. It is so much vaster than just Studio One. It's Studio One plus everything that we make for Studio One. But it's also Notion and all the expansion sounds for that program as well. Plus, you get content added every month. Like, for example, we just added something called Heartsick in February, which was a new sound set, kind of for R&B, romantic kind of sounds. Hey, February is kind of, it's the most romantic month of the year because of Valentine's Day and everything else. So we launched this on Valentine's Day. But we also made an expansion pack for Ampere called Ampere High Density. And if you are a PresonaSphere member, all of that stuff just gets dropped in your account on the day that it's released. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. If you have the perpetual license, then you have to buy those things as extra add-ons from shop.personas.com. But here's the other thing. You also get the workspaces, which allows you to collaborate with other users. And you also get exclusive content from Joe Gilder and Gregor and Marcus and a few others who are making exclusive videos for PresonaSphere members. And there's a regular live stream that either Joe does or Gregor does. And there are masterclasses on particular featured subjects like mastering, or there are compression masterclasses to help you get more and more skillful at compression and learning different types and styles of compression. Those are all there as well. Plus, you've got exchange content that has been created by our Personas artists as well. So people like Gary Noble, award-winning mix engineer, producer, has created a whole bunch of effects chains that you can have access to. So there's all sorts of other stuff like that. Plus, when Notion 7 comes out, that will be deposited in your account, no extra charge. When Studio One 6 comes out, whenever these are going to come out, when they come out, these will be deposited into your account. You'll not have to pay anything extra. You just carry on paying your monthly or your annual charge. That's it. And you just get them on the day of release. So no having to kind of save up for, whenever you might think the next 0.0 upgrade is going to come out. Because I know some people, they try to kind of anticipate when the next 0.0 upgrade is going to come out. You kind of don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to kind of back build that little fund ready for that day. It's taken care of for you. So it's more than just, hey, this is kind of a monthly way of getting Studio One. It is, but it's so much more than that. And it's just going to get better and better and better. It's something that we launched brand new last year. It's not even a year old yet. And so it's only going to get better. The features that are inside PresonaSphere as they are now have already improved dramatically since we launched them in July last year. And they're just going to get better and better and better and better. So what's not to like about that, really? More stuff, more features, more whatever. Man, there's stuff coming I wish I could talk about, but I can't. So that's the way it is. So yeah, that was a long way to answer that question. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, Mika says, to answer his question, going back to his question about MIDI sidechaining, He says, it takes creating a new MIDI track with no instrument, record or drag, load MIDI events into it with the CC notes, etc., assigned to the out in the inspector to your desired target. Mika, that's awesome. Could you do me a little favor? Could you kind of send me an email that breaks that down into more specific steps, and maybe I can see about building something for doing a video on it or something like that. That would be awesome. But I'm glad you found the answer. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. Tim is off to go and have dinner. Tim, thank you so much for all of your help and your support. You are a ledge, my friend. Doesn't transform to rendered audio do the same thing for too high a load? Yes, you can do it that way. You can either transform to audio, or you can transform to rendered audio. Both will do the same thing. However, it is considerably easier to recover from transform to audio track rather than transform to rendered audio. But you can certainly do it that way. And the thing with rendered audio is it renders whatever is on your channel. So if you have EQ, compression, and whatever is inserted on that channel, all of that will get rendered as well. Whereas transforming to audio track doesn't do that. Transforming to rendered audio renders the, if you've got Melodyne, so if you're using Melodyne via ARA, or you're using some other ARA product, like Vocaline, for example, it will render those, but it'll also render everything else that is inserted on your channel. Okay? So any insert effects, whatever those might be, will get rendered as well. So yeah, but it kind of largely does the same thing. Sean says, thank you. I'm using stock plugins, 3 guitars, 1 bass on Empire, Groove Monkey tracks, and 2 synthesizers. I'll try cleaning the cache if it happens again. Cool. Yeah, that's great. If you have any more trouble with it, Sean, then please do drop a support ticket in, okay? Or post it to the Facebook groups. One or t'other, you'll get plenty of help, okay? Gerard says, what I do if my computer spikes out is useless plugins on your song project and use less keyboard plugins and also reboot your computer. Is use less, okay, gotcha. I'm reading it wrong. Is use fewer plugins, yes. And use fewer keyboards, virtual instruments, yes. And reboot your computer. Yeah, that would definitely work. Curious why you have two Pro EQs on a couple of buses. Do I have 2 Pro EQs? Oh yeah. Sometimes you need more than the 5 frequency knobs on an EQ. Sometimes. It depends. Sometimes I do. Like, for example, if I go over here, this is my drums, my stereo drum print. And there were just still some other things that I wanted to be surgical. This is kind of like my broad stuff. This is kind of like the broad stuff that I do. Broad brush strokes with EQ. And then I will follow it up with something that is a little bit more surgical. Like right here, I wanted to get rid of this. Or I wanted to give a little bit of weight to the kick drum a little bit more. So I could do that. And then on the cymbals, I wanted to give a little bit of weight to the ride cymbal in particular. And then here I wanted to notch out the bell tone just a little bit more because it was a little bit overwhelming. And then here I just wanted to, kind of open them up a little bit up the top. And of course you don't need the low end. So a bit of a high pass filter. And then again, notching out this kind of sound at 418, which I think was actually a little bit of room where the drums were recorded that I just didn't like. So I got rid of that. So yeah. That's why sometimes there are stacked EQs, and sometimes I like to stack EQs. Sometimes I like to to EQ broadly with something like a Pultec, and then a little bit more dialed in with a Neve. In this case, I'm just using the stock Pro EQ. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. Good one though. John asks, how effective is the detect loudness function found on the project page? It is extremely effective. It will give you pretty accurate information. Not only where, the end result of all of your effects, but also pre-effects. It will do two passes, so to speak. One pre-effects, one post-effects. And you can compare the two. You can kind of A/B visually and look at the data to see what your... I mean, the most important things to be looking at is the integrated loudness. I think it's LUFS in integrated loudness. That's kind of like, for me, that's what I look for. I look for that particular figure. And yeah, you get very good data from that. And I'm always watching the peak meter as well, the one at the bottom. And I set that usually in what do I set it to? I have to try and remember what I've got it set to. Before I do that, what have I got this set to? Okay, so what I tend to do in the project page is I tend to set the metering at the bottom of the project page. I set that to K14. And then in the song page, I have it set to K20. And what that does is that allows me to make sure that I'm always allowing plenty of headroom. When I'm recording, when I'm mixing, and then again, when I'm mastering, is making sure that I'm not kind of pushing things into digital clipping. Limiters help with that, but yeah, that's kind of what I like to do. And Sheila likes my vocal change setup. Cool. Yeah, run the vocals through a separate channel and mix, compress, and add delay later. Could you go through the setup of the sidechain? Asked Edgar. I can certainly do that. Let's go back over to the song. So the sidechain is a pre-fader 0 dB on the lead vocal. And then over here on this compressor, you can see it says sidechain here. If I check what the sources are, I just have this selected. The lead bus. So the lead bus is triggering the compressor on the analog delay. It's as simple as that, really. And there's a low cut setting here that means the low frequencies of the delay are not going to trigger the compressor. I mean, there really shouldn't be anything in there, but if there is, it's not going to trigger the compressor. So that kind of helps with that. But it's setting up a sidechain is actually really, 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 really easy. And actually, since Studio One 4.6, this got a lot easier. It was easy enough before, but now it's even easier. As I said, you can set this up really simply. Let's go back over to the start page, and I'll set up a new song. Okay, and what we'll do is we will add a couple of tracks here. So let's have a couple of tracks here, and then let's go over to our console here. We'll close that. We don't need those. Let's just do a little bit of housekeeping, and then let's create a bus, and this one is now going to this bus here. But let's say I want to use the audio of track 1 to compress this guy here, the audio of track 2. So here's the easy way to set this up. Go grab a compressor. Let's just use the stock compressor. We'll slam that on here. Alrighty. And then the next thing you do is you go up to the sidechain section and you click on sources, and then you check that. Job done. And now you can see that the send is already created. Excuse me. And then I just make this a pre-fader and make sure it's set to 0 dB, which it is. By default, it's set to 0 dB. So now I have a pre-fader 0 dB send, and that means that whatever this particular channel is set at, so, you know, whatever happens to this fader, let's say I've got some rides on here, doesn't matter. The send to the compressor is always going to be at 0 dB, compressing this at a consistent rate. So it doesn't matter what happens to my second channel, what happens to this channel, this compressor is always going to be triggered at 0 dB. A full 0 dB signal is being sent to this guy. All right, so I hope that that helps. So that's how you set up sidechain. It's very, 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 very easy. Hey, chat just jumped. Love it when that happens. Gerard says, I use the cheap compressor. I also use the key filter in the compressor so the lows don't control the compressor. Yep, I do that all the time. Bob Studio says, regarding Persona Sphere, I would go for it. However, I cannot deduct it as a studio thus far. The other thing is ROI. Oh, right, return of investment. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I would go for it, however, I cannot deduct it as studio. Oh, right, okay, gotcha. I think I understand. Dwayne says, if I were a Sphere member, could I get the additional fat channel plugins for my Series 3 digital mixer? That is a great question. You certainly get them in Studio One because they appear in your account under add-ons, software, under products, software, add-ons. They are all there. So you definitely get them in Studio One. And I think you could probably get them for the mixer. Don't quote me on that. I'm not in hardware support. I don't know quite how it works specifically for the mixer, but certainly in Studio One you definitely get them for sure. Fair enough, John. Fair enough. Ziggy Ziegler is here. He says Sphere has added a social sense of belonging that is nice during these isolated COVID times. It broadens social experiences. Well, I'm glad you think so. That's cool. I'm glad you think that. Sean says, is there an app for Persona Sphere on Android or maybe in the future so I can watch the live streams? I'm currently on my phone and no internet connection for my computer. Currently there is not, but who knows? Put in a feature request for it. In fact, I think there already is a feature request for it. If you go to answers.personas.com and if you go to the Persona Sphere feature request section, I'm pretty sure that there is a feature already there. I'm pretty sure I saw it the last time I checked. And that being the case, I would recommend you go and give that your thumbs up vote. Okay? The more votes it gets, the more likely it's going to happen going forward. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, one thing there is that there is a Personas, a My Personas app for your phone. I have it on my phone. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. But there certainly is a My Personas app which I have on my phone, so I can see all of my products. I can register stuff. I can do whatever I need to do in My Personas on the app if I need to. So who knows? Who knows whether it will come for Android or iOS? It might. I don't know. And in this case, I'm telling the truth, I actually genuinely don't know. Let's see. Martin's got to go. Cheers, Martin. Thanks for coming. Glad you're here. Why not use the parametric K14 as well? Yeah, I could do that. Garen, I'm glad you've learned something. That's cool. Glad to help out. George is here. George Mateos. Good to see you, mate. He says, can I automate an effects in the send? Well, you can automate... automate... I can't speak. You can automate most things. Let's go and get something that we can automate. Hang on just a minute. Let's go and get room reverb. I know you're not seeing this yet, but that's okay. You will in due time. So I've got room reverb open here. And let's say I want to automate the size, for example. You can just right click this knob here and click edit automation room size. Or you can create a channel macro and you can assign it to a knob or a pad XY, depending upon the device you've got. Okay, so if you've got a device that you can create channel macro controls, you can do that. Okay, or like I said, you can just do edit automation, and when you do that, that creates this guy over here. If I just drop that down for a second, that creates a lane over here, and then you can kind of do whatever you want. You can say right here, between here and here, I want that to drop, but I want that, you know, you can kind of do whatever you want. You want a gradual decay, or let's say between here and here, you want something else. You want this to go all the way up like that, or all the way down. And then when you have that in read mode and you play it, those changes are made. See? Now it's gone up to 30 meters and then back down to 1. See how that happened? Watch this knob. And down to 1. All right, so I hope that helps. You can pretty much automate anything in Studio One, for the most part. Right click on the parameter. Yep. Would you recommend dynamic multiband for sidechaining bass and kick? You could do that if you want. Yes. Do I do that? No. I tend to just use the ordinary compressor. But yeah, you can do that if you want. If you only want to, you know, to do kind of like complementary multiband compression between the kick and the bass drum to make room for them, to make room for each other. Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to. Don't see why not. You could certainly try it. Mike is away to bed. Good night. Just Bob is doing the same. So we'll be ending the show in a couple of minutes. Don't forget the splitter. You can split the frequency bands and use desired type and style, compression, EQ, etc. on the bands. You need certain sounds. Unlimited sonic possibilities. Yes, the splitter is a very, very powerful thing in Studio One. And yeah, I would absolutely agree. You can use the splitter to create all sorts of different frequency splits where you do different types of compression, or even just, you know, different, use a different EQ for a different band. So you could, I don't know, use a Pultec EQ on one particular band and an Eve EQ on another frequency band. And you could, there are so many crazy things you can do. It's definitely worth experimenting with the splitter. And of course, you can do this parallel compression thing inside the splitter as well. You don't have to do it kind of like the traditional way, where you route to a parallel bus, which is the way I do it, but you don't have to. You can do it in the splitter just as easily. So the splitter is an extremely powerful thing. All right, so I think we probably are just about at the end. Hang on, let me have some tea from my branded mug. Thank you, Fender. George says, any idea why I cannot put an effects in certain parts of audio tracks when Melodyne is on? You certainly should be able to do that just by alt dragging the effect to that particular event. You have to bear in mind that when Melodyne is being used via ARA, here's the interesting thing, is that it actually shows up in the event effects section. You will find that when you open the inspector for the particular channel. Now, in this case, there's on this particular example, there's there's no event effects. But maybe if I go over to the other song. Okay. So let me just give you a tiny little example here before we end. Let's go back over to Studio One. And let's say over here we have some Melodyne on the vocal channel here. Let's close the console. We're in this channel here. If I open the inspector for this channel, you will see that I did have Melodyne on here, and I rendered it, which is why it says restore. Okay? But you would see the event effects section. Let's see, is there one on here? Trying to find one. Okay, so BV1 has nothing on it. So if I go to enable, now that I've enabled it, when you Melodyne a particular event and you do Command or Control M to do that, you do all of your edits in Melodyne. You close the Melodyne editor. If you open the inspector, you will see Melodyne listed here as an insert on the event. It is an event effects in this particular case. That's how ARA works. That's how Melodyne via ARA works. It does it on the event level. Okay? So you will see Melodyne here as a plugin in the event effects section. And you'll see your orange render button like we saw on the previous track over here. See? This is exactly what I want you to see. So here is Melodyne as an event effects on this particular channel here. Okay, so I've used Melodyne on here. I haven't rendered it, so Melodyne appears as a plugin. All right, that's how ARA works. So if you drag something else to a particular event, let's say we go for BV3 here. And let's say we want, I don't know, we want rotor for some inexplicable reason. I can drag this over here, and before I release that, I'm going to press the Alt button and add it as an event effect. And now, do you see that? Rotor appeared in the event effects. Okay? And then you can render that out. I obviously don't want to do that, so I'm going to Control Z that, and that's going to go bye-bye. But if I already had Melodyne on here, you would see more than one event effect in there. You should, and then you should be able to render them. If you find that that doesn't happen for you, that you don't see Melodyne plus whatever else you've Alt or Option dragged onto that event, then the thing to do is render your Melodyne edits first, and then try the Alt Option drag. Okay, whatever, whether you're on a Mac or a PC. All right, so give that a try and see what happens for you. So I hope that helps. And I think on that point, I'm going to go back over to the camera here so you can see me. And we are going to end the show here at 11 minutes past 1 in the morning. Thank you very much, everybody, for your great questions. And for those of you that super chatted, you are awesome. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate your kind generosity. You guys rock. I have the best subscribers on the planet. And I have 4,390-ish now. I might even have 4,400 subscribers by the time we get to the end of the show. So that to me is amazing. And, we're heading hopefully towards 5,000 subscribers, which is great. I'm really, really, really pleased. And it's taken me a good while to get here, but thank you so very, very much, guys. And I will see you all on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over on Jonny's channel, Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel. Go check that out. It'll be 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Should be a lot of fun. Jonny and I will have a lot to talk about. Trust me. I will see you then, folks. Good night. holding all the worst cards I feel 2 feet tall. I'll stand and shout, no holding back. Do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Oh, do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Now I'm hanging tough, and I'm never falling back. When defense fails, I'm going on the attack. I stand and shout, no hold